So that was that. So what were your ladies' thoughts on this chapter? Like what, like when you read it, what was something that just stood out like y'all doing the most?
Malia went in. She got some bite to her. Um, she's not, innocent, but it's I love how she keep it classy, but she'll get in your ass when necessary. I mean, and get all offended
Witnessing.
too. I like that about her. Addison got out of line, um, and she graciously gathered her.
Graciously gathered.
Graciously gathered. Addison didn't know what to do. That girl ran out the place screaming when she got done, and not one hit was thrown. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, you did what you needed to do. That's what's up. That's what's up. It didn't put one hand on her, and she ran out like it was a fire or something. So she yeah, I like the comeback because Addison really was out of line, and she tried to go in, and then she brought up, you know, Malia's family.
Yes.
Like, bro, that's you really treading, especially when all the
You really
stuff that
tried to
Malia was
go.
saying came out. I was like, now you got all that stuff going on with you, and yeah,
Right.
you got all them skeletons in your closet. You sitting here trying to throw dirt on somebody that
Shouldn't
know
be
about them
saying nothing.
skeletons.
Don't say nothing.
That is crazy.
Girl. It
So
is crazy.
she was graciously gathered, and I loved
She
it.
was graciously gathered.
Gathered.
Oh, your thoughts,
Yes,
Kitty A?
definitely. All of that, all of that. I love seeing Malia take it to a new level. I'm like, oh, I knew you had it in you somewhere, girl. So
Turn up,
she
sis.
brought that fire, that heat, that I was so proud of her. I was just like, I think the first time when we were going through this chapter, and
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I was excited. I was That's what I'm talking about. I remember, I think that day when we were working on this chapter, Karina, and you called me and we were screaming, we were going back and forth, like, yes, yes, this is this is it. So, I loved getting this glimpse of that beast inside of Malia, and so, and I hope we will see more of it because we need all this energy.
All of that. And I definitely feel like Malia turning up at that party a little bit and keeping it classy was just sometimes you have to step off in people. You know what I'm saying? Like people really, really try you. And that character was created from like two different things. So I used to watch the show years ago called Private Practice, and there was a character. Her name was Addison Montgomery, and when she joined the show, she got on my nerves. She was just up, you know what I mean? And then, toward, as the seasons went on, it was like, oh, okay, she's not a bad person, but baby, when she first came on, she just was very snobbish, looking down on somebody, and I was like, known a few people who behave like that, you know what I'm saying? And then we were just like, let's run with it. And Kyrie was like, I got some ideas for it too. And so she was adding some stuff. And it was, remember the TV show You from Netflix? And there was that one girl, what was that, like the third season, the black chick? She was just ultra annoying. And you're like, let's add some of that. Let me add some of that spice on that. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I think it made Addison Riley just a very well-rounded villain and a horrible person. And that's not even a person who's a villain because there's a reason to be a villain. That's just like, I just generally like stepping on people's necks. So yeah, she got graciously gathered. She was a monster. There was no reason for her to come from Malia like that. But I'm gonna tell you, people who live in glass houses always got the nerve to be throwing stuff. I was always like, honey, when I knew, I was like, let me not be saying nothing. I've always been a quiet person. Like I'm not airing nobody's stuff out because who needs my stuff aired out? And it's not even personally like because I've done so much. Like, ooh, I gotta be careful. The family members, baby, and they have done plenty to make me ashamed. Okay, so I'm like, who ain't gonna be talking about people's family members? Who ain't gonna be like? They gonna be like, well, don't you got somebody who's in prison and isn't there somebody about a child that may not be something? You know what I'm saying? Like I got people in my background, and we just start digging in stuff. You'd be like, oh, your family is messy. Like I said, it may not even be me because it's not. I try to live my life very peaceful. But I come from some people, baby, they have some past and they be trying to hide it and throw dirt on it, And so I've always been very cautious. Like, I don't think that it's right to be digging into people's lives because I feel like everybody's family, everybody has a past, everybody has sinned, everybody has done something that maybe they would have preferred not to have done that. So I'm like, who am I to be here reminding everybody else about their families and their forefathers' sins when we got some sins of our own that are quite prevalent. So yeah, this was a really this was a good chapter. And I would say I've been in situations where people really was like acting stupid and I just wanted to like flip over a table like y'all need that work because you really are acting up. And I've just come to a point where I'm not going to go home and beat myself about what I should have said or what whatever. I'm at a point in my life where I am going to flip a table and I've had to flip, a couple things, but I'm not going to keep doing this. There was a game of Monopoly that got out of hand because I got disrespected and I was like, flipped over the table and a whole fist fight got started. So I'm just not a person who's going to deal with the disrespect. You live and you learn and you're like not putting up with the bull. So
All right. Well, our first question is Malia seemed so irritated at the bridal shower. Why did she go if all she was going to do was complain? Well, she didn't want to go. She didn't want to be there. So, of course, Eva reminded her, you can't be falling apart and not showing up to places that you said you was going to go. And so, like good old girls will do, she sucked it up and went. Um, and I don't feel like she was complaining. I just felt like she was just, voicing her opinion and expressing her irritation and frustration to her friends. So I didn't really see that as complaining, but and then I feel like, like when you live in certain communities and there's events and your family is prominent, you have a prominent family name, you have to show up, you have to go and show your face and show that you are giving your support and your involvement, in it or whatever, or else they're gonna be talking about you. So, Malia knew what she had to do, so that's why she was there.
your thoughts, Lily?
Pretty much the same thing. I didn't see her as complaining. She's just like stating the obvious. She's around a bunch of people that she don't want to be around. She may have felt obligated to go because of social circles and stuff like that. So, yeah, she was irritated. Everybody's gossiping. Everybody, she don't get down like that. She never did. Everybody's talking about basically uh, their silver spoons and platters, and she's like, yo, I got my own. Like I don't, that's not important to me. Talking about stuff she couldn't really relate to. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that Malia was annoyed and didn't want to be there. And I think that the altercation earlier that day at the boutique was still weighing heavily, on her mind that, old nosy Victoria, let April know that, hey, Antonio had a woman stay the night last night and she drove this car and she was like, oh, okay. I know who that is. So she left her girls' trip early and came down to the boutique and caused a massive scene and destroyed a couple of vases and threw shoes and stuff like that. So I think that that whole fight that day was really, it was still weighing heavy on her mind. And it was just like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm irritated. And she had to break off her relationship on like, it was a friendship, but it was still a relationship, whatever, with Antonio. And was like, hey, you getting married here, bro, in 2 months. Like, I'm not going to ask you to try to pick between me and your fiance. Like, I'll make that choice for you so you don't have to feel bad, but we can't be friends. Like, I shouldn't have came over last night. That's my bad. That's on me, player. That was on me. I shouldn't have did that. I was being desperate and acting like a 16-year-old girl. And now look what has happened. All this stuff is, Malia was taking responsibility. I shouldn't have been there, got drunk. She didn't want to take the fact that she came on to him and was trying to give him a taste of her goods. But like, she was just like, this is my fault, period. This is my fault. I'm out of control. And now she's sitting up there, at this table and this event, and everybody's, talking about their husbands and who made the partner of this firm, and who's doing this and their new homes on the weekends that they just purchased at the beach, and my kids doing this and they're ready for the SAT prep, and my daughter won her spelling bee, and it was just, everybody's just talking about that, or the new Tesla, the new Bentley, and again, I'm not no hater. Like, congratulations to you. Like, things are going really well in your family. But my God, there has to be something else going on in your life other than what your husband's doing, the new bonus that he just received, or, what new car you have. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on in your world? How's your family? You got any new projects you're working on? No, the only thing you worried about is making sure that your house is immaculate, it's big enough, and you got the latest designer handbags. It's got to be more to life than that. And I think Malia was just like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy to be here in this mix. And I think that, like, she's one of them girls, she's single and very attractive. And, you're starting to come up on the age of 30. And so you walk into a room and everybody's kind of side eyeing you because, I just remember, like, and I know y'all gonna get it too. In our church days, baby, all of even when we wasn't at church, like, the clothes had to be appropriate, just so in case somebody in the church community saw you out, it was like, oh my God, you have this on. And so I'm sure she come in there dressing the way she wants to dress, looking cute, body doing what it's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? And people are like, oh, it's inappropriate. You need to really be on the Michelle Obama and less Megan Thee Stallion, And so it's like, who are you talking to? I pay these bills, baby. And so you kind of just get tired of showing up in places where you're not really wanted, but you have to go. You have to go because you represent your family name. You have to go because if you don't go, people are going to have a scandal about that. And she was irritated. And the three of us are at right now, talk about me, because you're going to do it even if I show up or if I don't show up. So just get a head start because I won't be in the room. You know what I'm saying? I'm no longer putting myself in positions and in places where I'm not liked, invited, valued. We're not doing it. If I'm not celebrated where I go, I don't need to be there. I had a situation years ago where this lady was like, oh, hey, my daughter's birthday's on Friday. We're going to go up to here, blah, 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 blah. At 3:00, I'm going to give you the invite, though, next time I see you, so you'll have the address. But she'd already told me where it was. And I was like, oh, yeah, you don't have to give me the invite. That's fine. I know exactly where it's at. She's like, no, I want to give you the invite because they're really cute. And I just want you to have the invite. And I was like, well, what's up? So I saw her 2 days in a row. And every time I would see her, she would never speak. And we're all outside getting the kids, right, at school. She would never be like, oh, hey, here's the invite. She would just act like she didn't see me, even though we would be saying, and I thought that was really weird. Like, I felt her energy had shifted. And so my daughter was like, oh, we going up to Beaverton for the birthday party? And I was like, no. She's like, her mom invited us. And I was like, something changed after she invited us. And I'm like, she's like, what do you mean? She said it's gonna, and I said, it's okay. Like, we'll get together maybe with them on a different day, but something's not right. So I didn't go. Thank the Lord I didn't go. Okay. So the little girl, she sees me and she makes a beeline to me. She's like, my mom wanted me to tell you sorry you didn't get invited to the party, and she was busy and she's really sorry. And I could tell her mother told her, tell her on Monday, sorry. I forgot. And she was just like, I feel really, really bad because my mom said that you could go and then she didn't give you the invitation and you basically got uninvited and I'm sorry. And I said, it's okay, sweetheart. I said, okay. I said, baby, I said, it's okay. I said, I got you a gift anyway. I said, tell your mom maybe next time, and I gave the little girl a gift and I said, but please do not feel bad. She was just felt so bad. And I was like, no, I was like, it's okay. I was like, I'm happy. I'm okay. You had a birthday. Like, it's so, but something told me, don't go. Could you imagine if I would have showed up to that party and I never had gotten that formal, official, invite? And it's like, oh, you here now, huh? I would have been being
Mhm.
treated like Malia in the room. You know what I'm saying? So thank the Lord for all of his discernment, baby, because nobody has time to show up anywhere and be treated like a piece of crap. So the next question is yours, Lily.
Okay, so why did Addison go out of her way to create problems with Malia? Have you ever experienced a situation where someone went out of their way to create problems for you? Absolutely. I think as far as Addison goes, there's a bit of jealousy there. She's talking about how great her life is and, what her husband is doing and what her kids is doing. But I think she looks at Malia and probably, sees Malia, owns a business. She's gorgeous. She's making decisions for herself. She's not completely dependent on nobody. She's that bitch, and she looks at her and she's probably, a little jealous a little bit. She got her kids, and that's great that, well, I mean, we found out later her husband ain't necessarily a prize, but
Not at all.
you know what I mean? And she got all this stress in her life and all this stuff going on in her life, and she see Malia's, pretty much stress free. She ain't, pressed by none of that. And so I think there's a little bit of jealousy, even if she won't admit it. There's a little bit of jealousy, just maybe at the
Yeah.
freedom that she has, not being tied
Talk
down
about
in
it.
a marriage or with kids.
Mhm.
Um, that she can't, she still has an opportunity, and she's gorgeous and she's banging, you know
Right.
um she's, I think that's Addison's little issue. As far as
I
anybody
agree.
going out of their way to create problems for me, absolutely. I have had, I mean, if I take it back to high school, somebody that used to always, she pretended to be my friend or whatever, and just would, go and get fights started, and that ended up with me getting, because I'm going to defend myself. So anytime anybody fights, you end up getting suspended. I got suspended so much that I was taken off the dance team. I couldn't play basketball. I wanted to play basketball, but I was always suspended, and so my grades weren't where they were supposed to be. And all this, it was never academic. As far as academics go, I got it. My issues was always social. I was always getting in a fight, and the person that starts a fight get 5 days suspension. The person, that didn't get 3 days suspension. And when you're suspended, at least in high school, you don't get to make up the work that you missed if you're suspended. So if you got tests or something that day or whatever. So my grades start slipping because as soon as I get back from one suspension, this girl done started created something else. And now, I got somebody else trying to jump me, somebody else trying to fight me. And I'm not just going to stand there and get beat up on or talk
Absolutely
to
not.
crazy. Yeah. So that created a lot of problems for me. I wanted to, I love to dance. I wanted to be on a dance team, and, that was taken away, and I couldn't play basketball because my grades weren't where they were supposed to be. Plus, I was always being suspended for fighting. Um, so, I mean, I got her back. I'm like, if I'm gonna be fighting and getting in trouble, it's time to fight you. So, I eventually, after I cut her off, I was going to get expelled or some crap. So I decided to go out with a bang, and I took her down too. So
That's
yeah,
how
she
you do it,
she went
baby.
out of her yeah, she went out of her way. None of this was necessary. This was pure. You know what? I'm gonna create some hell for her because I don't like her.
It's a
She didn't
get
like
back
the way
for
I
me, though.
dressed.
Hmm.
Right. And so she would go up to people, tell them that I said stuff about them or that I'm threatening them or a family member or something. Next thing you know, after school, there's a little group of girls waiting for me by the buses. And it's like, here we go again. Take off the backpack and just start throwing. So that's There's my
People,
answer.
if you have children out here who are causing problems like this at the school, give them some help, okay? You don't need to be going around here harassing other girls because you feel intimidated. Teach your sons and your daughters how to love themselves, value themselves, speak well over them, speak well to them, help them see the best in themselves by speaking to them and bringing out all the great things about themselves. Because when people love themselves, they don't try to destroy other people.
Amen to that.
Amen,
Um,
sis.
I agree with everything you said, Alicia. And I also feel like, Malia, she's an easy target when she's one of the few that are going against the social norm of the community. You're going to stick
Mhm.
out like a sore thumb, So I feel like Allison is taking advantage of, that because all the women that are doing the same thing that she's doing are going to have her back automatically. So
Mhm.
um, I feel like that's one of the reasons. And I was thinking about a situation where someone has went out of their way to cause problems for me. And I was thinking about a few years ago. Uh, you remember this, Karina? My husband's ex. Um, she befriended me. And I'm a very transparent person. So which questions she asked me, I answered, and
I'm going
she
to
wanted
mute
to get to
myself
know
because I'm
me.
going to lose myself.
She wanted to get to know me. And me, I oblige. Whatever. I don't have anything to hide. And so um, I forget what I did. I had said something I guess she didn't quite agree with, and that's fine. But I guess she had gotten upset with me. So she decided to do some research on me. And by her way of doing research is to reach out to people that I had been in a relationship with to figure out if she could get some dirt on me. And so she's contacting people and asking questions and all that stuff. And so she had contacted somebody from my past that had been abusive towards me. And she was like poking the bear, saying, "Oh, she said this about you. She said that. Oh, yeah, what are you going to do?" And so, he called me and he's like, "Hey, who's this lady?" And so I was telling him, and so he's like, "Yeah, she is just like, she's trying to get me upset with you. She's asking all these questions, and I didn't have anything bad to say about you." And I told her that, I was the reason why the relationship failed. And you're an awesome person, and she doesn't have anything to worry about. And he's like, she got so angry when I said that, like she just got mad, and then she started saying that you were saying this, and he was like, I know you didn't say that about me. And I was just like, yeah, that's a lie. I wouldn't say that. But that told me, like, you went to somebody that you knew had abused me in the past to uh, work them up so they would come after me again, and that just ticked me off, and so she got introduced to another side of me at that time. I turned up on her a lot of bit. So I think that's like my most recent experience with, somebody going out of their way to create problems for me and then getting upset when they don't find any dirt on you. So they're going to go and, try to get somebody to come after you, so they can have their relationship back. It's pretty crazy, pretty weird.
I had to mute myself because you know how I get. Like when yeah, my girls know when they call me and be like, "There's a problem," and I go all the way to King Kong, and then they be like, "This was my story, and you just went crazy. You want to know people's addresses?" Like I'm ready to put in whatever work is necessary to protect my women. I do not play about my people, so I had to mute myself because I was like, "Oh, I'm about to turn up." About to start out. You guys both said a lot of really good things. And Alicia, while you were talking, I think one of the reasons why, like you were saying, that Addison, she went out of her way to try to like shade Malia. There is a lot of jealousy there. There has to be. Like you were really hitting on a lot of stuff. Like maybe I'm just different, but to me, being a single woman, that's a freaking flex. I don't know nobody else. People be acting like it's a flex because it's a choice. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't like, well, nobody likes me and I'm just unattractive. It's not that. Like when you're an attractive woman, or man or whatever, and you got your stuff together and you're like, I'm not dating because I haven't found the thing that I really, really want. And I'm going to wait until, all them things line up so that I'm not a miserable person in a relationship. And then I'm making somebody else miserable because I'm like, and I settled for you. Who wants to hear that though? Who wants to hear I settled for you? Like, no one wants to hear that, right? So, maybe you might have to, be patient and wait and see, like, well, you know what I'm saying? Just believe and trust, speak that into existence. God's going to send me Mr. Such and such and such. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you
Or
know
vice versa.
what?
God going to send her. What'd you
Once
say?
you once you I'm not gonna say I'm completely healed, but it's like,
Right.
there's like a real freedom in that. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
you're not lonely. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, once somebody comes along, then yes, you're like, okay, I might entertain this, but like,
Right.
I don't feel like I'm missing anything, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you felt like you was missing something, you would be putting yourself
I
out.
mean,
I mean, it's not like you don't get hit on all the time. You get hit on like crazy, right? So that's not even the problem. Like if you feel like you were truly missing something, like, okay, maybe I'm ready to explore that. So just in my eyesight, when I see women and they're single and they bossed up, I'm like, oh honey, that's a whole superhero right there. Like that's a whole freaking flex. I don't know. Like I said, I see a lot of these men, they act like being single is a sickness. And I'm just like, it's not though. Actually, it's a really massive flex that you're not somewhere despising the person that you're with because you know that you ain't got no business being with them. Like that's to me, it's like I feel sorry for you, sis. You know what I'm saying? You got 99 problems. You know what I'm saying? Too many.
it's like you've been there,
So
done that. Why do it again?
right, like you have to learn. And so I definitely feel like Malia's still creating the buzz. The fact that Mike and all of his sexiness and his education and all that charm that he has, he can come through and get anybody he wants in their social circle and beyond, right? But he can't have Malia. So now she looks more attractive because this hot bachelor who's a cheater, he's back. And you have some women who be like, listen, as long as he cheats respectfully, I don't need to know. Like some of that April and Antonio stuff. As long as it's respectful, don't bring no babies home. No, no, don't, no STDs, right? You have some people like you do what you want to do, you know what I'm saying? Because the money's good. And if I don't see it, it didn't happen, right? I think Malia is being looked at by a lot of the men in their little circles like, well, my wife makes me sick anyway. And if I had to start all over, I wouldn't mind, rolling up on, Mel, because baby, she fine still. And she still ain't got no kids. And, so they probably in their mind thinking like, if I divorce my wife, I could have all of that. And so, men and women, they're like, ooh, girl, Jason, he has a beautiful friend. You should date him because he's hot, right? So people do. So I'm sure people are walking around talking about Malia and, oh, I should introduce her to that guy, and some of them bitter Bettys is somewhere probably thinking, okay, so now he talking about he want to introduce her to this person and everybody talking about how cute she is. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of jealousy. She's her own woman. She can jump on a plane and go where she want to go and she ain't got to ask, well, I was thinking I want to go to Europe for a month. Like, if that's what you want to do, is what you want to do. You don't have to clear that with nobody. As long as that money and that account's right, you can do what you need to do, right? So I do feel like, yeah, baby. I think that Addison does have some issues with Malia's freedom. I think she sees her as a nomad in some way, like you're kind of in and out of the circle. They really want her in the circle though. Like they don't like her because that's what frenemies do. You know what I'm saying? Frenemies don't like you, but they want you around. For whatever reason, you make the circle even hotter. Now they'll talk about you. They'll put all your business out there in the street, but they're like, she's still beautiful. She dresses good. Yeah, you can come sit with us, right? So they're mad at her for not being in the group, but they don't really want her there either. But they really do prefer to have her there. Like, you make all this mental health problems like that make sense because that's not even 2 + 2 is supposed to be 4 and it's equaling after 63. What is the problem here, people? Like, that doesn't make sense. I want her, but I don't want her here. So they want her to become a clone, you know? They want her to dumb herself down. They want her to change her way so they can feel like they're dominating her. So when she runs in and out the social circles, she's being herself and she's being comfortable. It makes them mad because in their mind, she shouldn't even be able to do this. She should have to conform to our standards or get out the group, altogether. And the fact that she hasn't, it's really irritating. Kiri, what do you want to add, babe? Go ahead, girl.
That just made me think, Addison, she thinks so lowly of Malia, but she still wants her around because she has so much baggage in her life and her relationship, but she still thinks what Malia is and what she's going through is 10 times worse than hers. So it's like to keep the spotlight off of her and her junk. Oh, Malia's here. Now I can shine a light on this. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense when you
Mhm.
put it like that.
I mean, this chapter, people brought up people's reproductive organs and getting old and freezing your eggs. And it's like, nobody's pressed about having a baby. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have had kids if it hadn't been for my husband. Like, I love babies, I love kids and stuff. But as I got older, I started to feel like, maybe I don't want to have kids. It just wasn't that thing anymore. Like, and maybe it's because I started babysitting other people's kids at the age of 7 years old. And by the time I was, 9, I had two little kids, a newborn and 2 year old that I was taking care of all the time. So throughout my life, I did a lot of babysitting. And I was thinking, oh, if this is what this is going to be, I'm still going to be required to cook and clean and have babies around and somebody who I got to hold on my hip constantly. Yeah, I don't really want that. You know what I'm saying? So I believe because of my husband, I ended up having kids because he was like only child and whatnot. He's like, I want a family. And I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I could do that. Don't you already have a daughter? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't need to do that. So people try to scare women into this whole you're going to be too old to have a baby. I mean, well, maybe that just wasn't God's plan for me. Like, I feel like if you're going to be a mother or a father, it's something that you should want to do so that you know what you don't do? You don't despise your children. We got a lot of people having babies because society says by a certain age and a certain time frame, you need to have a house, you need to have a husband, you need to have this job, you need to have these kids, and then you don't like him. You don't like the job, you don't like the kids. Like this is not fair now. You've created a life that you thought that you're supposed to have, but not under the guidelines of how you wanted to do it. Stop letting people set you up. I'm not saying that marriage and kids and a husband's bad because I don't think that's bad. I mean, I'm enjoying my life, but it's not for everybody. And you have to know that for yourself, So there was a lot of shade, being thrown at this party. And I think the second question was like, have I ever been? Yeah, I've had people, try to go out of their way to cause issues or try to embarrass me. And, I think for the most part of my life, I've just kind of had to brush off a lot of stuff because if I stopped and reacted to some things, I mean, the whole grill would have been busted. You know what I'm saying? Jaw misaligned, things broken because you got to stop playing with people. You really got to stop coming for people. I remember it was years ago. There were these girls who I knew and but it was on some frenemy stuff. Like we saw each other at church. Hey girl, how you doing? But I could tell that they really didn't like me. And so I never tried to like hang out with anybody because I could kind of tell like they would talk about like we're gonna be going for appetizers and sushi and stuff. And then they would talk about it in front of me, but nobody was ever like, well, do you want to come? And then, so I was like, I'm not inviting myself. But I knew I wasn't like I knew they didn't like me. I knew they was like, oh, we're gonna just tolerate her. So this one who was a little bigger than the rest, she was just like, I was walking in one day and I felt really cute about myself. I had a little new outfit, new purse, and everything. And she was like, hi, Barbie. And everybody was like, ooh. And immediately I heard a voice, which I say is God. It was like, she's trying to insult you by calling you Barbie. She's insinuating that you're plastic and you're fake. But what God told me was, turn that on. She wants to see you be Barbie, be Barbie, because Barbie's fabulous. Okay. I was like, I stopped, honey. I gave a twirl. What are you guys doing today? You know what I'm saying? They're like laughing. They're like, girl, she just called you Barbie. I was like, I know. And Barbie is iconic. Barbie is a fashion icon. She is, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh. And one of the girls was like, I mean, I thought you would have been offended by being called Barbie. I was like, honey, Barbie is a flex. There's no need to be offended when somebody is comparing you to an iconic symbol. So yes, I'll be Barbie. And I walked off, and after that, they just kept being like, "Be Barbie," and I was like, "Hi, Barbie's here." And after a while, they were like, "Okay." And so one of my guy friends, he's kind of petty. He was just like, you know why they keep calling you Barbie, right? I said, yeah. He was like, why? I was like, because they're trying to insinuate that I'm some kind of fake and phony and all this stuff. And he was like, you know that and you're not offended? I said, no. Barbie's iconic. She's a legend. Compare me to a legend. Compare me to somebody who's iconic. Can't call me Slimer from freaking Ghostbusters. I'm too cute for that. So I will be called Barbie any day of the week for you because I know myself, being fake and being phony is something I've never done and it's something I will never do. Okay. I value myself too much to be phony with you. So if you want to call me Barbie as I walk past, every time they be like, Barbie, girl, I'd stop, put my purse off to the side, throw my hair, pose, take a picture of me, and then I was out. I mean, I literally would act up. And I would go sit my butt down inside church. And they stopped saying it after a while because people would be like, girl, look at Karina, girl, you need to do modeling. I'm like, I know, right? And I would go sit myself down and it bothered them because people were like, you're just so regal and you're elegant. Like it backfired. So yeah, I've had people try it. You know what I'm saying? And I've just been like, listen, I know who I am. And when you know who you are, you don't have to fight with people who are struggling with their own personal identities. So